What I'd like to do today is expand on a theme that I talked about in my last video, which was interplanting of vegetables with ornamentals and trees. So this very small row straight in the center, it's a bed. Eventually it'll be surrounded by rocks and it'll be more uniformly or very distinctly shown as a bed. But really what the key focus of this bed is going to be are fig trees. So there are 3 fig trees in the ground right now, but all 3 of them pretty small. But interplanted in this are a few other plants like a tea plant and some tomatoes. So in this video, what I want to do is show kind of some tomato propagation techniques. Tomatoes are pretty easy to grow. And what I've done is taken divisions of this plant, this tomato, which is starting to produce some fruit. And I'm going to plant a few of these about 8 feet off center. This is a fig. It is already flowering. And then we have another fig here. There's a Celeste. I'll go through each plant again in a second. But this is the tomato that is going to get divided up. So I have done a fairly careful job so far with this tomato. I bought it at a big box store. It was a single tomato for $1.98. And what I have done is wired it up on a trellis, but I've been making sure to carefully remove any adventitious growth. I don't want it to be a big bushy plant. I want it to be a single plant. So what I'm showing here, and I'll show this again in a little bit more detail, is any of these growths that are coming off the leaf nodes, I'm removing them. The flowers come off in sections in the middle of the stem, and then the leaves are very distinct, or the branches. So that piece that I just broke off, it is extremely easy to propagate. So these 2 plants in the ground right here, those were pulled off that plant and just pushed in the ground. And all of these tomatoes, these are all cuttings from tomato plants around the yard. So the ones we're looking at right here are actually divisions from that. So what I want to do real quick is show how to actually make the divisions. So this is another tomato plant in the yard. And what I'm showing here is the actual main stem. And you can see that there are branches, and then there is this growth coming off. And that's a new lead. It'll come out and form a new lead. And basically, if you want to properly prune your tomatoes, you remove those. So I remove that. And what I'm going to do here is remove another one. That's a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to show how to easily propagate. You just remove those, you get some potting soil, and you put it in. No rooting hormone, nothing needed. Doing this, I get, as long as I keep them watered, and I usually water them from underneath, I get a 80 to 90% success rate. So this is one of those plants, and you can see I did that exact same thing. I just popped it in, and this is about 3 weeks after doing that, and that's the root growth. Very easy. There's no tricks to this. You just have to keep it hydrated without overhydrating it, without watering it and soaking it. You just got to keep it evenly moist. So what I'm doing here is the fig trees are planted 8 feet off center. And so eventually they'll grow up and be espaliered figs. But in the meantime, I want to plant in between these. I want a productive garden. So I'm just planting these tomatoes in between the figs. I have really good compost here. It's mulched. It's compost from mulch. Tomatoes grow like crazy in it. So all I'm doing, super simple, planting these tomatoes deep. Tomatoes will, unlike trees and other things where you don't want to bury the crown, on tomatoes you want to bury them deep. They'll send out more roots and be a more stable plant. So there's no tricks to this. I just want production while this stuff grows, while the trees get bigger. I'm going to stake this up and put a trellis along here to wire up the tomatoes, and I'm going to prune all of them by removing that adventitious growth. I only want stems, one main lead, and then the tomatoes themselves. here is I wire these up after. I don't show it on the video, but I put in 4 stakes all along here and I wired them up. So this is the final bed. So the very bottom there is a lemon. On the left is a Heliconia. We have a Celeste fig here right in the center, which will be a dominant feature in this bed. This is a TI cordyline. This is an Ixora. This is a Kodota fig, and then the tomato that we've been looking at. And then I planted the next little seedling about 6 feet off center there. The little thing sticking up there is actually an Alpinia roxburghii. I would recommend looking that up online. Alpinia roxburghii. That is another fig, tea plant, tomato, and then an Ixora at the very back end. So I'm really excited about this bed. I think it's pretty simple and an easy way to get a bunch of vegetables